Okay, back again for the ongoing saga of the Ender 3 Max switchwire conversion. As always, pardon the mess and the cramped quarters. Uh, anyway, I have gotten the original Ender 3 Max center extrusion in using two linear rails in GN 12H's. I had initially done it with two carriages on this side of the bed, one on this side. That was problematic. And I had thought of creating the mounts out of aluminum. There's plenty of references to generally what they look like. And I was modeling them with 3D prints and with ABS and printing them on my Voron printer. I was very impressed by the rigidity of those mounts, so I went ahead and am using those. But they're just, whenever I put that second carriage on there, it got a little tweaky. I mean, it just didn't want to behave right. I did finally get around to mounting the screen. Just threw together a little mount for that to go on the front of this outside extrusion. The only thing I haven't done yet is swap out the main board, which is definitely going to make life easier. I'm a little tired. I'm sure you can hear this fan screeching. The printer's, of course, on right now. And that fan runs no matter what. There's no way to set it up to where it won't run when it's not needed. But that's just driving me bonkers. So anyway, I did. I had a lot of trouble. I used, when I originally set this up with the original extrusion, I reused the old Ender 3 Max belt. Well, that belt, about just after my acceleration testing, it broke. In the acceleration testing, I got 1700 max acceleration for the y-axis. Prior it was 1500, so the improvement was negligible. And so, but I swapped the belt out, put together a Gates belt, put that in there, reran the acceleration tests, and they were slightly better in one run, slightly worse in another, and then I noticed the belt was loose. So I tightened up the belt, tried to do it again, and again the belt I thought broke again. It actually hadn't broken. It's just the end on it that Creality uses in their belt mounting scheme, this crimped end. I guess I didn't quite get it re-crimped good enough, and the belt slipped out of it. So I had to redo the crimp on the belt and got it back in. That part of it's working fine, but as soon as I started to tighten up the belt, my tensioner adjustment broke that I'd put on the Ender 3 Max many years, I mean, not long after I first got it. I think it was made out, it was either made of PLA or PETG, but I had to remake that. It's now made out of ABS, and it's been working fine. But once I got the belt situation under control and got the tensioner under control, redid the accelerations tests, I got 2500 max acceleration for the y-axis. So I'm currently, I think in the software, I've got it set up at 2,000 max acceleration, and it's performing fairly very well. I'm very happy with it. But anyway, got one last thing to do. Let's get that turbo version 1.3. I think it's 1.3 or 1.4, one or the other. Get that board out of there, get the E3 Mini in, and you know, kind of finish everything up. I'll be able to eliminate this fan just sitting around, because I should have room in the for the original Ender 3 cooling fan under the hood there, and I'll show you everything and try to put together a list of parts that I've had to redesign, and have my final thoughts on everything. But anyway, it's been real fun so far. But I did, as much as I am impressed with my current camera mount, there is a mount that someone else had already done for the Ender 3 Max that goes on this corner of the mount bed. I had that in there. But I tell you what, when you go to a fixed bed mount, which is what I've done, there you'll notice there are no wheels under this thing anymore. There are fixed mounts for the bed. I know from machining experience, especially when doing surface grinding on parts that are not already precision flat, but they're close, when you first put them on the magnetic grinder chuck, before you slam the magnet, you put them on a tripod. You take non-ferrous material, spacer material, shim material, and shim two corners and then center on the adjacent, on the opposite side, to form a triangle base that thing is sitting on, so when you hit the magnet, it pulls down uniformly rather than warping it on the bed. But whenever you're trying to move a surface that's basically rectangular or square on 4 points, if you only move 1 point and the other 3 are firmly attached, all you do is warp the bed or warp the surface. You don't, it can't rotate. If you do it on a triangle, let's say this bed had a mount here, was mounted here, and mounted here. If I raise this side, it will pivot between these 2 points, so the bed would pivot this way. Conversely, if I adjust this point, it'll pivot on this axis, front to back, and vice versa. So you're never warping the bed. But it took me a day and a half of several hours to get tired tearing my hair out, walk away from it, come back another couple of hours of adjusting the sizes of these spacers. And eventually what I did was I just put the screws and the spacers in. Put the spacers in and then drop the screw, put the spacer in under here, drop the screw in, but didn't put the nut on it. And I did that on all 4 corners, and adjusted the size of the spacers to where I didn't have any corner of the bed, bumping up and down when I would tap on it. So that was it just sitting there naturally level, and it was firm enough that I could run a bed mesh. And then I'd look at that bed mesh and go, okay, I need to move, this side needs to come up, and I'd do two sides equal distance. Either do these two equal change, so I'd pivot over there, this side equal change, so I'd pivot on this side without any kind of racking of the bed. And within an hour or so, I managed to get it level on average within 0.35 millimeters, less than 0.4 millimeters, which I'm just ecstatic with. Before, it looked like I was going to have to be happy with upwards of 0.7, 0.8 millimeters of maximum difference in high-low of the bed height. It brings up just one last thing. If I were to do this again, starting from scratch, I would not use the inductive probe for the bed leveling. I'd use clicky probe or, rig up like I had before, the BL Touch. And it just works out a lot better. One, you would be able to reuse the original glass table. I had to put a magnetic sheet on it so I could have this ferrous metal bed sheet so that the inductive probe can probe something. It can't probe, if I put the glass bed on here, it won't probe that. It's not close enough. The aluminum isn't ferrous enough. But anyway, once I get the E3 mini board in and set up, I'll be done with it. I'll dress it all up and have some final thoughts on it. But anyway, thank you very much, and gotta love my 3 subscribers that have been hanging in so far. Really appreciate that, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.